Mm.
What up, nephews? We back. This is your Uncle Junior. This start another episode with one of my real good friends. You know, we got Uncle Jay on the mic. Jay, how you doing, bro?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Hey, man, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well, man. Just trying to maintain, man. Yeah,
Crazy.
man, Uncle Jay. Like I said, man, I create this forum, man. Just basically, man, just wanted to bring you here and kind of let some of this adolescent youth, to hear, insight on how they should maneuver in life, just give them drop some jewels, you know what I mean, so they can pick them up and kind of run with them just to see how they can make their moves. So without further ado, I tend to jump right into the content. And what I like to do is make you more comfortable with the nephews, and I want the nephews to be a little more comfortable with you. So if you could, man, just give us a little, background about your upbringing and was it mom, pop, mom, step pop, I mean, just mom, and where you from?
Mm-hmm. So my name is Julian Polk. 32. I'm getting old, man. I'll be 33 this year. It's crazy. But I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. Blessed to have both parents in my life to this day. Just really fortunate to have had that, because I think that's really kind of been my foundation for being able to continue to be able to progress in life.
Right. Oh, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. And that's great. And where you staying at now?
I'm in Charlotte. Well, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Attorney. I work in-house I'm in-house counsel for American Tire Distributor. So I pretty much do everything under the sun, from commercial real estate transactions to day-to-day contract stuff and pretty much everything. They got me doing, I'm a utility lawyer at this point. So they got me doing a little bit of everything, which is very tiring, but also pretty gratifying, because, it shows that, that they trust you to get the job done. So.
And since you're an attorney, like, was that always the dream, or like what did you envision you being when you were younger?
Man, thinking back to it, man, I kind of bringing it back to having both parents in my life. I think it's a perfect segue. I think having both parents in my life and I promise I'm gonna get back to that question. But
no, do you?
It leads into it.
Yeah.
I think having both parents in my life was great for me. It gave me the foundation that I needed, but it also was a crutch. Also, because I think I kind of had this false sense of security or safety.
Okay.
And no matter what I do, I'll always be okay. I always have mom and dad to kind of rely on. And not that they weren't really, tough on me or really had me disciplined to the point to where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just kind of I was allowed to be a kid at that point. I didn't really have to think far down the line in terms of what I want to be when I grow up. I mean, we all had our, president of the United States, and obviously, I was born in '88, so growing up in the '90s, the idea of seeing an African-American president, was probably pretty remote. And obviously went through Trump and Obama. But honestly, man, I've always had a love for film, movies, and sports, man. And I knew, number one, I wasn't good enough to play professional sports. I wasn't good enough to play, and I knew, as far as and I probably kind of gave myself the short end of the stick by saying that I couldn't make it in like film school or directing movies, something to that effect.
Yeah.
So I figured law, and law was something that always kind of interested me in a sense, because everything that we do in life is in this country. And I'll speak to this country, even though you have international laws, but just in this country, everything revolves around law. So I always said, there's ways for me to get into either film or sports by taking the law route. Right. And that's my ultimate goal, is to either be the general counsel of a professional sports team, or even a multi-million-dollar movie studio, or maybe even an agent for some movie stars or directors. So we'll see.
Okay, get you out there with Tyler Perry and them.
Yeah, of course, man. You know, he's doing his thing down in Atlanta, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you know, definitely a lot of respect for that brother, man. But yeah, I just think law gives you the flexibility. Let's say, you know, down the line, if I get to that point, I decide I don't necessarily want it to. I didn't want to be an actor
mm,
or work in sports, particularly. You
yeah,
know, if I didn't have a law degree, I'd kind of be siloed to that particular area. So I think just
right,
law gives me a broad scope of things that I could kind of do. It just gives me more flexibility, and with the idea that over time you change. The person I am now is not the person I was 5 years ago. So
right.
you always have to act with that in mind, that you know the things that you're doing now may not necessarily be a passion of yours 5 years down the line. So
Yeah, that's what's up. And thinking back to when you were younger though, like were you a hard headed kid? Like, was it easy for you to take heed to advice, or you was kind of just like nah, like it was just falling on deaf ears?
I think I was always kind of keen to advice, but the key is for me with taking advice from people is to actually see results from
Yeah,
people. For example, you know, I'm not gonna take advice from someone on a subject where they, you know, you look at them and it's like there's no results to show that this particular advice that you're giving me
yeah,
works.
yeah,
Now that's my mentality when I was younger, and as
right,
I'm older, I've seen you could actually learn from a lot of people too.
yeah,
Back to mistakes that people have made and not being so narrow-minded.
right,
Back to I only have to look at success stories.
right,
You look at a lot of people that failed and a lot of
mm,
people that have had trouble, and you could also learn a lot from those people too. So I think growing up, I was a little bit more narrow with respect to taking advice from people that were successful, and
yeah,
then over time, I've learned that that's very obtuse or narrow to kind of think that way.
yeah.
You always look at people, take people at face value and try to learn as much as you can.
Okay, okay. And I like that you said that. One of the main conversations I've been having with a lot of uncles is the respect aspect of communication with between older people, such as yourself, and then younger people that's like late teens and things of that nature. Is have you noticed that it's kind of like a discord between the age groups between like I said, the older people and younger people, like, and whose fault is that? Like, is the respect there, or is it not? Is it missing?
And I can't say that it's a lack of respect. I think number one, the society that we live in today, we're kind of all connected. Um,
Okay.
for example, growing up, my friends at school were siloed at school. We didn't have cell phones or
Mhm.
social media to keep in contact with friends
Right.
in elementary school. We had cell phones to the latter part of high school, but even then it wasn't as prevalent as it was today or pervasive. Um, I think these days, man, it's hard for kids to or younger people to kind of disconnect
Mm.
from their peers. And they kind of deal with these people every day, 24/7, to the point to where their word is respected or looked at as being more profound than those that are at home.
Mhm.
I think part of it is due to the fact that at home you kind of get a sense of reality of how things work. You see, your parents, or if you have older siblings or just cousins, who it is that's raising you, you
Yeah.
see flaws. You see, everything that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it is not always pretty. I always say it's like blood and guts. You see what goes into to achieving things in life. Whereas with social media, we only get that one, piece of information,
Yeah.
and we kind of extrapolate that and make that feel, or make that be oh, well, they're doing fine, and we tend to take advice from those people.
Mhm.
When you really peel the layers back, they're humans just like us, and they struggle as far as with things, and deal with different pain and as far as in heartache that we do,
Right.
our parents or whoever is raising us do these
Right.
days. Mm.
And so like with like when we were growing up, of course, natural people heard say it time and time again is that we were basically respecting elders at face value, right? They didn't have to do anything, no tap dance, no song, no nothing. You know what I mean? If they looked older than 30, yes, you know what I mean? You was like, all
Right.
right, watch out. But you ask yourself now, like, should that still be the case now? Should younger, kids like, 13, 14, 15, 16, should they, automatically give someone older than 30 automatic respect like we did? Or is that something that has to be earned? How do you feel about that?
I think in general, just generally, respect should always be earned. And I think anyone that's older should have that thought process that, just simply because I'm of age, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that I should have respect. It should be earned. Respect, leadership, that all of that stuff should be earned based on that person's actions. But I feel as far as from a younger person's perspective, that when there is an older person involved or attempting to give them advice, that they should at least listen and try to take heed to it. Now, at that point, they determine that the advice isn't sufficient, isn't something that really benefits them, then they could, as far as dismiss it as just, being something that it doesn't really apply to me. But I think I would never advise anyone, especially younger folks, to close themselves off to advice. Because as I said earlier, you could learn from pretty much anyone these days, whether they are successful, unsuccessful,
Right.
if that's a word, but just people that are struggling. I mean, there's perspective in failure as well as in success. So
Yeah. So what's one bit of advice that you wish that someone would have given to you a lot sooner, maybe when you were younger versus that you had to learn otherwise later in life?
probably, and I don't want to sound cliche here, but I think really the value of hard work. And
Okay.
and the reason why I say that is because I think, again, it goes back to me living in the household that I did. My parents, kind of shielded me from, and not intentionally, but I just had a false sense of how things really worked. And
Right.
I taught because they made me work hard.
Right.
I worked hard in school, whether that was on the best basketball court, the golf course, football field. I always worked hard, but it was more so because I was supposed to. And I didn't really have a rhyme or reason as far as to why I did it. It was instilled in me that that's what you're supposed to do. But I wish that someone would have told me that as far as what you do now and how you work now, how you approach things now as a younger kid and a younger adult is literally, is very, in most cases, I'm not going to say it's completely dispositive of how you're going to end up, but I think it's a good indicator of how, your future is going to end up, because, that work ethic that you have, just with school, doing the things that you're supposed to do in school, that translates to the job.
Right.
Or whatever job that you may have. It translates to family, life skills, just in general. So, it's all about building, good habits and good routines. And I think the undertone to that is always the value of hard work. Because if you value hard work, then hard work is gonna value you, and you're gonna reap the benefits of it.
And would you I like that what you're saying, because you're right, hard work. I mean people don't know, man. Work ain't easy.
It's not.
Work ain't easy. So I do wonder, like, would you tell them to kind of keep that same energy, like if they were trying to be an athlete? Like, what advice would you give a young kid? Say, hey, Uncle Jay, man, I just want to be an athlete when I grow up. I'm gonna be a professional athlete. What do you say?
Approach it the same way. Approach it the same way. A lot of that stuff, it translates in different areas. I use this for an example. And Kay, this as far as with me working full time and going to law school, yeah, it me doing as far as being very regimented and disciplined throughout school really helped me get through that process. And then in addition to that, even doing things simple such as working out on a daily basis, that and working hard and seeing those results, that kind of stuff gives you confidence to be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. And that goes into sports, it goes into family, it goes into job, whatever you want to apply it to. If you put the work in, it is, statistically, I'm sorry, I'm tired, but you have a much better shot of achieving what you want to achieve. And it's just I would advise anybody, be very clear, do everything that you do in life with intent, and have an end game. Don't just simply just do things just to simply do them. And I think, me personally, that's something that I wish I would have probably had more clear intent as I'm doing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's like it's a death blow or anything like that if you don't have intent, but it just makes things a little bit more difficult down the line than what they have to be if you have clear intent with every action that you're doing right now.
Right. And I like that you said that with intent, do everything with intent. So like, obviously, you got the best, you got the hardworking attribute, and that's a great characteristic to have. But, what's the number one characteristic that you kind of feel like is something that you didn't never want to possess?
You said never wanted to possess?
Yeah.
I think right now I've kind of known this for a while, but just of late, I think a lot of the times, you strive for perfection. There is no such thing as being perfect. And I had a friend of mine tell me the other day that said, don't let, good enough be the enemy of perfection. And when you say that, it means more so, just work hard, give everything that you have to a particular thing. But if you make a mistake, learn from it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't down on yourself. Don't let that deter you. Don't let it kill your confidence. And I think me trying to strive for perfection at times can lead to me getting down on myself or beating myself up a bit too much for things that, I should just be able to take from it and learn from it and move forward and, just make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Now that's interesting that you say that, because my next question is about something that you're not really taught in life. It's a crash course. I can tell everybody, you just got to try it. It's a trial by fire type thing, and that's rejection, right? So how would you advise a young Black man, approaching a woman, and handling that rejection? How should he maneuver with that?
Don't let rejection determine, your worth, because, and just to any Black man, it's so many women out here, man, and it's completely subjective. Just because the one chick that rejected you for whatever reason that may be, it could be something completely superficial, it could be something valid, something that she just it just wasn't attractive to her. Don't let that be a situation where it gets your confidence down to where you feel as if you aren't, as far as a hot commodity in a sense, or attractive to other females. Because like they always say, there's always somebody for everybody out here. And, and again, it all goes back to confidence, having that confidence at all times, just confidence. And confidence is born from demonstrated ability. And, when you are successful with being able to court a young lady or so, still, use that as confidence. I can get any chick I want, but a lot of that too goes into how you carry yourself in being the best version of yourself. you have to be the best version of yourself, I think, in order to really attract quality people in your life. And that's females and males in general, just in friendships and those kind of things. Like you are what you attract what you are.
Yeah.
And I really think that, you know, you really striving to be the best version of yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, professionally. If you do that, everything else is gonna take care of itself. The women are gonna come. They're gonna come to you. Is that? Yeah, I think it's that simple. Just be the best version of yourself.
Right.
I try to simplify a very complex thing because obviously it's subjective, and you know, women, you could be the best version of yourself, and they may not necessarily be, you know, your type, or they may not necessarily, you may not be their type. But in those situations, I mean, it's on to the next, man. Life goes on. Life goes on.
Well, you use the word subjective, right? So, and I know you're going to use it in this context, but I am thinking, you know, like, you know, well, what with the Instagram, the and all the other, you know, apps they got out right now, you know, what kind of qualities should these young men be looking for, you know, when they're trying to find that, you know, that good woman?
Number one thing, man, it for me is you need the number one quality is, does this girl bring value to my life? Does she bring, you know, because life is hard on its own. And as you know, as you get older, you're gonna see that each year, new ages, you know, it presents new challenges, and along that path, you know, you need, as far as a woman or a companion, or so, to be there for you, to be able to be the person to support you, and as well as you support them.
Right.
But I think that's the number one quality, though, is that you want that person to bring value. If this person is bringing, you know, pain or chaos or the sense, whatever that may be, into your life, then it's probably not the person for you. So it's so bogged down into the superficial effects of a female, and look more so to, is she smart? Is she intelligent? What does she do? What is she doing for herself? Does she do things with clear intent? Does she exhibit leadership qualities that you have to take into account? That if, you know, if I'm off my game, like in sports context, you know, I'm trying to think of today's basketball players, because I don't like, I'm gonna go back to our day, you know, Kobe, Shaq.
Right.
You know, if they were playing, you know, God rest Kobe's soul, you know, if Kobe was off, like he needed to know that Shaq was going to be the one to carry the team. Or like I said, I think it was the 2000 NBA Finals, Game 4 against Indiana, and Shaq fouls out, and they go into time, and Shaq is like, "Oh my God, I failed, because now we're going to lose this game, and we give Indiana momentum, and they're going to win the series."
Yeah.
We taps him on the shoulders and says, "I got this," and he goes out and he leads them.
Yeah.
And you know, they win that game, and they wind up winning that series, and then 2 subsequent championships. So I say that to say, as a partner, you need to look for somebody that you are, you know, somebody that you know could carry the load if, you know, you weren't on your A game, because unforeseen things happen in life, you know, whether that's loss of job, loss in general, death, sickness, that kind of thing. You just need someone that is gonna be able to, I'm not saying take care of you per se, but just be able to keep things afloat. And I'm not just necessarily mean financially, I mean up here, keep things afloat while you go through trials and tribulations in life, which is, you know, pretty much guaranteed that you're gonna have to cross some treacherous, you know, waters in life. So
you right. And I dig that, man. You know what I mean? Because like I say, man, they get easily distracted. I mean, the you know, the easy ones are always the low hanging fruit, right? You know what I mean?
Right. And especially with the social media stuff, man. I mean, just everything is just so superficial, and it's just it just comes off. It's just fake. It's fake. And a lot of these girls and stuff that they post things you know, they got these filters and angles and stuff like that. You got to look at social media is that they are posting, look at it as presenting a job, presenting yourself in a job interview. They are presenting the best version of themselves to you. So you don't see their flaws or weaknesses that they may have. So a lot of the times you start to see that a lot of the ones that we necessarily may long for on a superficial physical level aren't necessarily the ones equipped to deal with, or not even necessarily deal, but equipped to be able to be a sufficient or even just exemplary candidate or companion in life. And that's what you want. That's what you want, is to have almost like a best friend. I think that's the best way to describe it, is you want, you know, any kind of girl or your wife to be your best friend. Because there's nothing like, I tell you, you know, you go through situations in life and you're only going to tell your boys but so much, you know what I mean? Because you got to keep that facade in a sense of, you know, I'm going to handle it, I'm going to be all right. But a good woman, man, you could open up with her and let her, you know, you be vulnerable in front of her and not have her necessarily judge you in a way that's probably unfair.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. So.
No, I can dig that. I can dig that. And you know the funny thing about that, man, is you're right. You want the home girl. You know what I mean? And a lot of these young kids, man, they don't really know how to really be friends with people. You know what I mean? Because you know they chasing the hormones. They don't know. You know
Right.
But you know, but you do make a valid point with that. I do need to switch gears though because of well, one time and another is because it's an issue that's been prevalent. That's kind of, you know, it keep pushing itself up. Every time I look down at it, I was like, man, I don't want to bring it up, but I got to bring it up. And that's the idea of the interaction between African Americans and police. So, like, how would you advise a young black man to maneuver, you know, when he's interacting with a police officer?
Coming from obviously being, especially being an attorney these days, and you know, having a general understanding of how, you know, Fourth Amendment, which is, you know, your right not to be illegally searched and seized. You know, looking at it from that perspective, man, the best thing you could do, man, is to, and I don't necessarily mean, when I say this, I don't mean you know, give in or you know, sell out or anything like that. Just honestly follow the protocol. Follow the protocol. Only answer questions that they ask. Don't provide more information that, as far as that they need, because they're not your friend. They're looking for you to, you know, they pull you over, for example, for speeding. When they ask you a question like, do you know how fast you were going? They're trying to get you to admit or confess that you were speeding, and they use that against you in court. And a lot of the times, with the way we looked at, you know, those routine traffic stops lead to obviously catastrophic, you know, irreversible results. And you know, my advice is to just be very compliant. You know, if they, you know, keep your hands on the wheel, always keep your hands visible, or you don't give them any, you know, any predisposition, because they already have a predisposition as to what you are.
Right.
You're a black man, you know, man, you're driving, you have a car, you know, you, as far as they're concerned, you stole a car, you're dealing drugs or whatever that may be. So they already are predisposed to think that. So when you get in those situations, you have to do your best to not feed into those predispositions. And I hate that we have to do that.
Right.
But us having to do that probably means that it's more likely that you're going to leave out of there with your life rather than being killed. But you know, keep your hands on the wheel. Don't answer any more questions than what you have to. If they ask you to search your vehicle, say they don't have a right to search your vehicle. And just know, and I think this is a big thing for us. We, as African Americans, we look at an arrest as being the end of the world. It's like the end all be all. Right. The arrest is merely the first step into the criminal justice process. And I say that to say, you know, it may be sometimes to where, you know, you get a cop, and excuse my French, you might get a dickhead cop.
Right.
You know, he might, you know, push the envelope a bit. But in those situations, and may try to bring you to jail or something to that effect. Don't fight. You fight through the system. And when I say fight through the system, I mean, let him arrest you, but you report him. You tell, you know, your attorney as far as exactly as to what happened.
Yeah.
You file a complaint. You fight through the system that is provided. And I'm not saying that the system is perfect. It's not. But that fighting it through the system gives you more of a opportunity and more of a chance to not, for the situation not to end up deadly. And that's all you want. You want to be able to live your life and not lose your life or get severely injured over, you know, just a situation where, you know, all I have to do right now is just keep my hands visible. And I'm not saying it's always going to work, because we've seen situations where, you know, people we do comply, and, you know, we still get shot.
Yep, you ain't lying.
It happens. But what I'm telling you, or what I'm giving advice, is how do you lessen the risk? Chances. It's never going to be a sure thing. Nothing is in life is a sure thing. So I can never guarantee that if I do this, this, and this is going to happen.
Right.
But if I do this, this, and this, it's unlikely this is going to happen. You know, I give myself more of a chance, a fighting chance to live, rather than ending up, you know, unfortunately on the news, you know, like a lot of these, you know, these brothers have been over the past few years, and obviously the countless numbers that we don't even know about. So,
how much does the way that we present ourselves kind of determine how people treat us?
I think it plays a factor. I mean, I'm not going to be naive and sit here and say that, you know, hip hop culture and, you know, things as far as that we do does not play a factor in how people perceive us. But a lot of that is based off of people's preconceived notions of us, on things that, you know, we may not have done, but that's the narrative, you know. You know, for example, you know, I use this for an example. You know, there's a stat out there that says that, you know, Black people, we are the ones, you know, we abuse the system. We have, it's more of us on welfare or on these government programs or so than actual white people. And that's what a lot of white people vote about and stuff like that. But when you really look at the stats, is actually quite the opposite. It's more whites that are on welfare and that are abusing the system. So I say that to say, I think you have the preconceived notions that they already have about us. And then, yeah, we may do things that perpetuate those preconceived notions. And obviously it leads to the results that we see on TV. So, you know, it's tough because we're not judged the same. We're not judged the same. You know, you take a hip hop song and, you know, you compare it to some of the rock songs that you see. So the delivery is a bit different. A lot of the subject matter is the same. The drugs, the sex, you know, whatever those things that sell in media today or over time. So it's hard to beat those preconceived notions where people already have a formulated idea because of the implicit bias that they have about you. So it's already hard to fight that. So I do think when we do carry ourselves a certain way, we perpetuate it. But you know, I just wish people would judge people individually and based off of who they are as a person. But I mean, that's wishful thinking. It's just not how things work. So it's a slippery slope, and it's probably something that we're going to be dealing with probably at least for our lifetime. But I think the further we get removed from slavery, the further we get removed from the civil rights era, I think, in which we saw this summer with the George Floyd killing. I think people are a little bit, this generation, y'all's generation is a little bit more open-minded with respect to race and prejudice and those kinds of things. And it's unfortunate. It's not an easy fix. And all I would advise you guys to do is to try not to perpetuate those preconceived notions that white people may have, probably do have about you, and just be the best. Like, again, it goes back to being the best version of yourself.
That's what's up. And that's a perfect way to kind of end this segment. I said, brother, I appreciate having you on here because I know you, like I said, I know your schedule. I know you got to do some things. And I was like, man, I know it's getting late on you, but I do appreciate you stopping by and, just blessing us with that, that insight. Cause a lot of stuff, these kids, they don't know, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they can only get it, from their community. And right now, since the community is basically virtual, that's why this platform is relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely, the world we live in today is definitely an adjustment, and y'all hang in there. This isn't gonna be forever. Y'all are gonna be able, eventually this virus is gonna get under control, and y'all are gonna be able to go back to normal. So just hang in there, and especially with Black men, if you got to have that mentality. And as I said earlier with the Kobe check, I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan. Sad, devastated still he's not with us anymore. But he said something: if you see me in a fight with a bear, you worry about the bear. The Mamba mentality is we don't run, we don't cower, we endure and we conquer. And if you have that mentality in life, because life is going to throw some curveballs at you that you sometimes you see coming, sometimes you don't. And if you endure, like this virus, just endure, adjust, conquer, and I'm telling you, life will present you with opportunities that that you could have never imagined. But I'm glad to be of help, and however I could be a resource to you guys, even if it's reaching out to me personally. Okay, you have my personal contact information, so right. However I could be a resource to anyone, because I wish I took like big brother, big sister programs and stuff serious. Back then it was more so you had a big brother in high school and stuff like that. It was like, hey man, let me borrow $5 so I can get some chips and stuff like that, and really taking life experiences from those people. So when you have people like Kay and myself, definitely use that as a resource, man, because it's valuable. Because that's the only way you learn is from other people's experiences. Life isn't novel like this. It kind of life repeats itself in a sense. So more than likely, if you're going through something, someone else that went through the same thing that you're going through, and that could really give you great perspective on how to attack it and ultimately how to conquer it. So
yeah. Well, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up. And again, you're comfortable. Maybe we can get you back on the show a few weeks from now. Continue the conversation. Okay.
Anytime. However I can help, glad to be of help and service. You got to pay it forward. So whoever I could talk with and get through to, it would make me feel good, and it would be gratifying to me. So
that's what's up, bro. Well, hey, bro, much love to you, man. I appreciate you again. Much respect. And we'll be talking to you soon, bro.
For sure, bro.
All right. Later.